Something is happening across America. Something loud, defiant, and impossible to ignore. In city after city, the streets are filling with people carrying one message: no kings. From New York to Los Angeles, from small towns in Texas to the steps of the Capitol, voices are rising together in protest. It's not just a rally. It's not just politics. To many, it feels like a fight for the soul of democracy itself. So what's going on? Why are millions of Americans taking to the streets? And what exactly does no kings mean? Today, we're breaking it all down: the rise, the message, and the impact of the No Kings movement. It began quietly, a few online posts, a few calls to action. Then came June 14th, 2025. That date was no coincidence. It marked the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army and also the 79th birthday of Donald Trump. On that day, tens of thousands of people across all 50 states poured into the streets under a single banner. We are 50 states, 50 protests, one movement. The phrase "No Kings" wasn't random. It was symbolic, a warning against what many saw as a dangerous slide toward authoritarianism. The message was simple: in America, no one should rule above the law. That first day sparked something massive, something that would soon grow into one of the largest protest movements in modern U.S. history. After that day, the movement didn't fade, it exploded. By October 2025, over 2,500 protests had taken place across the country. Cities, suburbs, and small towns, all united under one name: No Kings. In places like Houston, crowds reached the tens of thousands. In Philadelphia, protesters flooded historic streets once walked by the nation's founders. Even in rural America, hundreds gathered in local squares, waving homemade signs that read "No Kings, No Masters." It wasn't one political group. It wasn't a single organization. It was a collective, decentralized, spontaneous, and fueled by frustration. Social media became its megaphone. Videos of peaceful marches and massive crowds went viral. Within weeks, millions were watching and joining. The slogan "No Kings" may sound old-fashioned, but it cuts deep. It harks back to America's founding ideals, a nation born from rebellion against monarchy. The original revolutionaries fought under the belief that no man should hold absolute power. Today's protesters see history repeating. They point to what they describe as creeping authoritarianism: too much power in one person's hands, too little accountability, and too much fear dividing the nation. But it's not just about one leader. It's about what people feel is a systemic failure, democracy losing its balance. For many, No Kings is a stand against corruption, inequality, and apathy. It's about reminding America of its first promise, that power belongs to the people. If you walk through one of these protests, you'd see a cross-section of America: students marching beside veterans, teachers next to truck drivers, grandparents walking hand in hand with their grandchildren. The movement's diversity became one of its greatest strengths. Different people came for different reasons. Some for civil rights, some for women's rights, some for climate action, others for election integrity. But at the heart of it all was a shared message: democracy isn't a spectator sport. You either protect it or you lose it. Organizers emphasized peace and unity. No Kings rallies were filled with art, music, and creative energy. Some carried signs quoting the Declaration of Independence. Others wore crowns, only to symbolically break or throw them down. Of course, not everyone supports the No Kings movement. Critics, especially within conservative circles, claim it's just another form of political theater, or worse, an attempt to divide the nation. Some leaders have labeled protesters as un-American or chaotic. In a few states, law enforcement prepared heavily for large gatherings. National Guard units were placed on alert in cities like Atlanta, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. While the vast majority of demonstrations remained peaceful, there were isolated reports of tension and minor clashes. But instead of fading, the backlash seemed to energize protesters even more. Online, hashtags like #knockings, #defenddemocracy, and #powertothepeople surged to the top of trending lists. Every pushback brought more attention and more supporters. By mid-October, analysts estimated that millions of Americans had participated in No Kings events nationwide. From bustling downtowns to quiet suburbs, the message was spreading. In scale and coordination, it rivaled some of the biggest movements in modern U.S. history, including the Women's March and Black Lives Matter protests. Experts are calling it a defining moment in 21st century American activism, a movement that reawakens civic engagement in a country where voter fatigue and division have become the norm. This isn't just a protest anymore. It's becoming a national mirror, showing America its reflection, flaws and all. At its core, No Kings isn't about hating leaders. It's about redefining leadership. It's about saying that leaders serve the people, not the other way around. That democracy only works when citizens demand integrity, justice, and equality. It's also a warning, a message that freedom can disappear quietly, not with a bang but with silence. And the people chanting No Kings are determined not to stay silent anymore. As 2025 nears its end, the movement faces its biggest test. Can it stay united? Can it turn protest energy into real political change? Organizers are already planning more coordinated national events and voter awareness campaigns ahead of upcoming elections. But they know the challenges ahead: fatigue, division, misinformation. Still, the spirit of the movement remains alive, powered by ordinary citizens who believe their voices still matter. The next chapter of No Kings may not be written in the streets. It might be written at the ballot box. The No Kings protests are more than just a reaction. They're a reminder that democracy is fragile, that power must always answer to the people, and that the phrase No Kings isn't just a chant, it's a promise. So the question isn't whether this movement will fade. It's whether America will listen. Because as history has shown, when the people stand up and say No Kings, they are not just protesting the present. They are protecting the future.